Exclusively on the OysterLink Podcast, the fastest growing hospitality job platform in the US. Chef Ismael Torres never planned on becoming a chef. He originally trained for law enforcement and worked two hospitality jobs to make ends meet. Today, he's an award-winning private chef, host of Chef Ismael's Kitchen Quest podcast, and the owner of Rough Chop, a leading catering company serving Southern California. In this episode, Ismael shares how adversity shaped his culinary career, what it takes to operate at a high level as a private chef, and why resilience matters more than resumes in hospitality. Hello everyone, and welcome to the OysterLink Podcast, the fastest growing hospitality job platform in the US. Chef Ismael, hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
All good. Thank you for joining us today.
No, I sincerely appreciate you inviting me, and it means a lot, especially being on your platform. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So to start, could you please introduce yourself briefly? Tell us about your career path. I want the audience to understand your background, so they can get where your answers are coming from in this interesting conversations we're going to have today.
Yeah. So really quick about my background. I personally never intended to be a chef. I went to school to be a police officer and tried to go down that route. And while pursuing law enforcement, I actually went through a period of time when I was working two jobs in the hospitality industry, specifically in a bar restaurant. And due to medical issues, I wasn't able to get hired on to any of the agencies. So I decided to pursue a career in the culinary arts, mostly out of spite. It wasn't something that I wanted to do again, but it was mostly to prove to people that, I could do it. Fast forward to today, I'm currently a private chef, and I won several awards and was featured in, as a rising star in San Diego. I was also 4-time best chef in the Inland Empire by Inland Empire magazine, voted by the community. And then, now I just do private chef. I travel within Southern California all the way up to all over the country.
Have you received any formal culinary education?
No, everything has been through experience. And in the industry, at least where I'm from, we call them the veteranos, right? The veterans. And they basically taught me, the cheat codes of what it is to be good in the hospitality industry. And the one common factor that I always received was moving with a sense of urgency and doing things the right way the first time.
Then let me bring up the first question. You say that you won 4 times the title of the best chef. And you competed against professional chefs who received, let's say, professional culinary education, and you won.
Yeah.
Do you believe that this culinary education today has become something like a waste of money in general?
I'm not going to lie to you, to an extent. I think that when it comes into culinary education, it's good for those who are probably in the industry for such a long time, because for me, you can only get so far without a degree. And I wouldn't be able to move up to the next level if I don't have that degree, which right now I can't. I'm pretty much capped. But I always recommend that before entering culinary school, make sure you go into a restaurant and see what it's really like to work at a restaurant before you drop tens of thousands of dollars at a culinary school.
Then let's say, what kind of skills should chefs learn beyond, besides the culinary school? If someone is already studying, what kind of skills do they need so they can succeed in real life?
To succeed in real life, I strongly recommend that they learn how to be humble. When one of the things that I noticed in terms of my personal experience is that a lot of the culinary students who just graduate have a sense of ego. And I think too much ego can hurt you in the long run. Our community is a very small community. Everybody knows everybody. And you don't want to be known as the person with the ego who just got out of culinary school. So learning how to be humble, learning stoicism, basically, right? And one of the best authors and one of the best people to learn that from is Marcus Aurelius. So I think anybody who is in the space and wants to be a good chef and a good person, I strongly recommend it.
Since you mentioned ego, I want you to comment about social media. Do you think that social media presence is causing this ego? Or is it just graduating with a degree and believing that you can just join a kitchen and start working as a chef?
Social media, it really magnified a lot of the people's work, and depending on the following count too, right? I think that's something that people really look into. I'm not going to lie to you. Like for me, it was something that I consistently looked at my following count, and that's just because I wanted to grow my followers. It wasn't really to my own horn or anything like that. And eventually I stopped caring about the following, and started caring more about the quality of content I'm giving out in terms of guidance and mentorship. But yeah, no, overall, I think it really, I can't really speak for everyone else other than for myself.
Let me then ask you, since now we're talking about social media, do you think that brands should be built about restaurants or chefs?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it's both. In my opinion, I think it's probably best that the restaurant showcase the chef, who they are and what they're about, and then that gives the restaurant its identity. And I think that it's extremely important that the chef comes out and speaks on the restaurant platform. And again, it just really has to do with identity. I understand that some restaurants have some sort of hesitancy to that, because in our industry, it's a revolving door. Chefs and cooks come and go, and we don't want to have, that perception that we're consistently changing chefs. So I understand the restaurant's point of view on that, but maybe perhaps even if the chef is the owner or a partner of the restaurant, then it's extremely important that they showcase who they are, what their story is about, and basically just what the restaurant's all about.
Let me ask you, would you hire a professional chef who has, like, let's say, the Michelin star level of skills when it comes to, like, culinary skills, but zero social presence? Or an average chef with average culinary skills, even below average, but a great presence on social media? Which one would you hire, this one or that one? For your own restaurant, in that case.
I would go with the Michelin star chef, personally. I feel like, I have 23,000 followers, so I feel like I would be able to assist with the growth of this specific chef. And I think that me hiring this individual would probably be a lot more, it would be better for my business, just because of the quality and the amount of experience that this person has. And to give them the trade-off about, hey, let's work on your social media presence, and then we can do this together. I think I probably would go that route.
You have a great presence on social media, by the way. It looks like you're doing really well there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's.
Let me ask you also about social media. Let us suppose that a restaurant in Miami, for example, has $5,000. That's the budget for marketing. What would be the first thing they should do? Hire someone or buy something, or like, that's the entire budget. What should be the first thing they should do so they can build their own, let's say, social media presence? Practical steps from your experience.
Okay, so from my personal experience, I would look for a videographer and showcase what your story is about and your food, right? And make sure that your vision is clear with the videographer, because your vision versus the videographer's vision could be completely different. Once that's done, then you can switch over to your phone. I think this phone right here is probably one of the most powerful things that anybody can have. We essentially have a supercomputer in our pockets, right? So being able to write a script to talk on camera versus doing a voiceover or just showing off the food is extremely important, because you want to tell a story, and that's what us as humans want to listen to, is a story. Even as children, right? We always wanted to have story time, and it's always something that we've always enjoyed. So most importantly is to get your story down, to get what your concept is about, who you are. And then if you really want to invest in a videographer after the first time you work with them, then you can go from there.
Since you mentioned storytelling, let me ask you, which one fills the seats in a restaurant? Is it storytelling and authenticity versus paid ads?
Honestly, for me personally, paid ads suck.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's been bad for me because sometimes the social media has an algorithm, right? And it's through our AI. And so AI doesn't really always capture what you're trying to get in terms of who you're trying to target. So storytelling is probably the best way to do it, just because you're able to target not only the followers that you have, but also new followers. On Instagram, they have that new feature where you're able to release a video when it's not to your non-followers, which is a trial reel, right? So I think that's extremely a great tool to have and to use. But yeah, that I don't like using paid ads. I think I've used it maybe 3 or 4 times, and maybe in terms of leads, I probably had maybe 3 leads the entire time, and I spent more than $50. And then also too, there's a community page here in my city, and I donate them $10, $15 or whatever it is, and then for some odd reason, I get a $2,000 client. So look into your community. That's where you want to invest in. You don't want to invest into the whole country. You want to invest in your community.
This is good. You want to invest in the community. Last question about social media. Have you been in a moment where you felt that, you're being dragged into becoming a content creator rather than a chef?
Yeah, it's really hard to keep that balance, because social media is a job all in it itself as well, right? And so we want to be able to create great content, meaningful content, and in my space, mentorship. And so being able to speak on my experience and then being able to show it off on social media it's a pretty difficult balance, but it's possible. I don't know if you noticed, but I don't really post too many cooking videos. And one of my mentors explained to me that it's probably a good thing that he doesn't either, because he doesn't want to close off a section. We don't want to just show off fine dining. We want to show off we want to be able to cater to the Michelin guide stuff, but also to the people who are making tacos on the side of the street. And the advice that he and I are giving to our followers is priceless. So yeah.
Let's now switch to your industry. You're a private chef, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can you tell us more about your brand, the brand that you built, and your this part of the job, besides social media, besides what you do on these channels, being a private chef?
Yeah, so being a private chef can be difficult at times. So mostly because of client generation. When it comes down to the clientele, and the thing that they're focused on is money. How much is it going to cost to have a private chef come to my home and prepare a professionally done meal right at my home? And then also trying to sell them, why do I need to go with a private chef and spend a little bit more extra rather than me going into a restaurant and getting the same quality? And my thing is, you have to sell the exclusivity and the luxury and elegancy of what I'm trying to do. So Rough Chop is the name of my company, and we try to deliver the utmost best service that we can that rivals a Michelin-starred restaurant. So that comes with the team, dishwashing team, a culinary team, service team, and then we also have a bartender and a sommelier. And so with that being said, yes, while it adds up a little bit extra, you'll get that personalized experience in the comfort of your own home. And that's what we're going for as a private chef. Right now, for me, it's been busy, extremely busy, with clients between 150 clients all the way to 2 clients. So especially during the holiday season. But the challenging part is February up until July, where we have that lull where there's no clientele coming in and asking for anything. So during that busy season from August up until December or January, you kind of have to really manage your funds appropriately.
You mentioned having a lot of mentors in your career. Can you tell me like the best advice you ever got from a mentor? 1 or 2 advice like that you would consider to be top?
So the best advice, let me tell you a quick story. There was one time when I finally decided to go 100% in the culinary industry, and I ended up going to work at a rehabilitation center for recovering addicts. And in that center, we learned how to cook from scratch, and something that I've never done before, because it's always been opening a bag of fries, dumping it in the fryer, flipping a burger, all that fun stuff, which was good because I learned a sense of urgency and consistency. But now going into this space of the rehab center and learning how to cook from scratch, it was extremely difficult for me to adapt. And I didn't know what to do other than quit. So what I did was I went up to my Chef Marco. Here's my letter of resignation. He opens up the letter, reads it, and he says, okay. And he tears up the letter and he says, you can quit when I tell you can quit. So me being the young kid, I just said, yeah, all right, yes, chef. So I go back into the kitchen and I continue to work. Eventually the rehab went under and I got laid off. But the lesson I learned on that was just because things get hard doesn't mean that you should quit. Stick it out. And I'm extremely thankful that Chef Marco was the one who forced me to stay rather than allow me to quit, because it would have been a constant cycle of just quitting rather than just sticking it through. So don't quit even though things get hard. And I'm not talking about like the culture of the team. I'm talking about the job itself.
Let me ask you, what gets someone hired on your team? You mentioned that you have a team and like at your brand. What gets someone hired right away? I mean, what impresses you in a job applicant?
So I mentioned earlier about stoicism, people who are humble. Those are the ones who really attract me, because I can teach them. I'm able to mold them into my image, into what we're expecting. And then also the culture of my team is able to create someone who not only is humble, or not only is good at with the knife, but also good at listening and paying attention to the needs of our clients. And so with that being said, it usually comes down to, are they personable? Are they nice? Are they humble? Are they willing to learn? And that's what I care mostly about. And then sure, the skills come after. But during that time as a private chef, and we're working in other people's homes, we have to give their home respect. We respect their home because we're a guest. And that's who I'm looking for in terms of being a private chef. Now, when it comes down to me working at a restaurant, skills matter to me. But again, it's the humbleness that matters to me the most.
And what gets someone fired? Like the exact opposite.
Ooh. I think it's the toxicity that they potentially can bring in. It's been very rare when I've had to let go of someone, and I credit that because of my law enforcement schooling and just knowing and understanding the psyche of the person and who they are and how to deal with it is something that I really, really do like, that I was able to learn how to wear different hats and how to understand different people. And then whether I or not, I want to bring them onto my team. So that's first and foremost, is being able to read the individual. But in terms of me letting them go, is for me, it's like they're drinking. They're clearly impaired. They're posing a danger to my team, to myself, to them, to themselves. And I think that's probably one of the big things, is that they're not able to perform in a safe manner. And then because I take safety very, very seriously. And then obviously, clients, right? When you're arguing with the client, that's an immediate termination. Argue with me, but not with the client. Because again, we're in their home and we're going to respect that.
Let me wrap up this conversation with one question about the upcoming season. So you say that as we enter February until June, it's the low season. How do you handle that as a private chef in this specific part of the industry?
So like I mentioned, it's financially responsible, being able to know when to invest and when not to invest. Right now, as I'm receiving deposits and stuff like that, that's the time to invest and to grow. Then during February through August, it's more so of okay, I don't want to call it deals, but it's more like trying to get with the community and trying to get jobs like that. It can be very difficult because a lot of people aren't really celebrating anything and it's not the holiday season. So doing pop-ups for the community is extremely important for me. And doing, small catering gigs like tacos. Those are the easy ones to take care of, and to take on any job that you can. When there's no jobs, you should be taking the time to learn, read books on how to make your finances good and stuff like that. But I mean, other than that, I don't know, maybe even getting a little side job. But I mean, it is what it is as a private chef until you get into that space where it gets more and more easier for your clients to start spreading the word. And I'm noticing that it's getting better for me as every year goes. So, and again, this comes down to it to not quit, so.
Chef Ismael, thank you so much for this insightful conversation, for sharing all those honest and straightforward answers about everything. Thank you so much for your time today. I know it's the high season. I know you're too busy these days for anything, so thank you again.
No, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, and I absolutely love your stuff, and make sure you give OysterLink a follow, and we'll check you guys out.